National Lampoon's Vacation hit theaters in 1983, and it never really left our pop culture radar. That crazy Griswold road trip to Wally World gave us unforgettable characters, but what happened to the cast off screen? That is just as wild as the movie itself. Let's get right into it. First up, Chevy Chase as Clark Griswold, the pathologically cheerful dad whose perfect plans always fell to pieces. He was 39 back then. Chase was already huge from launching Saturday Night Live back in 1975. Today, he is 82. But the charm he brought to the screen clashed hard with a backstage reputation that was not so friendly. His infamous fistfight with Bill Murray in 1978 remains one of Hollywood's most notorious backstage stories. Then in 2012, he got kicked off the sitcom Community after allegedly throwing around racial slurs on set. On the home front, he married Janie Luke in 1982, just before the film hit theaters. They are still married today, with 3 grown daughters and some grandkids. Fast forward to 2026, an official documentary called I'm Chevy Chase and You're Not Dropped, taking a raw look at his messy legacy. Next, Beverly D'Angelo as Ellen Griswold, the insanely patient wife holding it together through every single disaster they caused. Long before Hollywood knocked, Beverly worked as a professional animator and trained as a singer. Her path to legendary comedy star was definitely not direct. She was 31 during the shoot and is 74 now. After the movie, her personal life kept headlines buzzing. Her marriage to Italian Duke Don Lorenzo Salviati lasted until 1995. Then she had a high-profile romance with Al Pacino from 1997 to 2003, having twins together. Through everything, she never stopped acting. Her role in the 2022 thriller Violent Night found her a brand new audience. She has big projects lined up, including a film called The Prince. She also has a music documentary coming. Number 3. Randy Quaid as Cousin Eddie, the obnoxious, lovable relative nobody wanted around but nobody could forget. He actually had serious acting chops back then, earning an Academy Award nomination for The Last Detail in 1973. Eddie was only supposed to be a small side character, but audiences went so crazy for him that he kept coming back for every sequel. Randy was 32 back then and is 75 now, but his real life took a bizarre turn. After marrying Evie Modolani in 1989, things stayed solid until 2009. The couple became tabloid regulars as their legal troubles kept stacking up. Things got so crazy that they fled to Canada in 2010, claiming a shadowy Hollywood group called the Starwhackers was after them. He has barely worked since then. Number 4. Anthony Michael Hall as Rusty Griswold, the teen dragged along for this family train wreck. He was only 15 during filming, and his sheer confidence on screen at that age is still incredible to watch. In just 2 years, he became the ultimate 80s teen star in John Hughes classics like 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club, and Weird Science. He walked away from those roles to avoid getting typecast, a big gamble that slowly worked out. In 2017, he pleaded no contest to misdemeanor assault after a dispute with a neighbor. He married Lucia Oscarova in 2020, and they had Michael Anthony Hall II in June 2023. At 58, his career is booming again with a solid gig on Season 3 of Reacher and a spot on Wednesday. Number 5. Christy Brinkley as the Ferrari girl, the one gorgeous fantasy that made Clark forget he even had a wife. She was a global supermodel when the film released, fresh off 3 straight Sports Illustrated covers from 1979 to 1981. Her part was tiny, but she only needed a couple of seconds to steal the whole movie. Christy was 29 back then and is 72 now. Her personal life grabbed headlines. She ended up marrying 4 different times, with her most famous relationship being her 10-year marriage to Billy Joel from 1985 to 1994, followed by architect Peter Cook, which collapsed in a nasty 2008 divorce after his cheating scandals blew up. Now, she runs her own wine brand and is still a huge icon in the fashion industry. Number 6. John Candy as Lasky, the Wally World security guard. He shows up in the final minutes and delivers one of the most satisfying endings in comedy history. His on-screen warmth never felt like something he had to manufacture. By the time Vacation dropped, he was building one of the most beloved comedy catalogs of his generation, with planes, trains, and automobiles, Uncle Buck, and Cool Runnings all still ahead of him. John was 32 on set. He would have turned 75 in 2026, but the world lost him on March 4th, 1994 at just 43. While in Mexico filming Western, he married Rosemary Hobor in 1979 and they stayed together till the end, raising 2 kids, Jennifer and Christopher. Canada honored him with a star on their Walk of Fame, and his films keep finding new audiences with every passing decade. Number 7. Imogene Coca as Aunt Edna, the elderly relative who falls asleep in Missouri and simply never wakes up. When Vacation was filmed, Imogene was already 74, meaning she walked onto that set with over 5 decades of professional experience. She passed away on June 2nd, 2001 at 92, and would have been 117 in 2026. Long before Aunt Edna existed, she had helped define the early years of American television. Co-starring with Sid Caesar on Your Show of Shows through the 1950s earned her 6 Emmy nominations and a permanent place in live TV history. She married twice, first to Robert Burton until his passing in 1955, and later to actor King Donovan until his death in 1987. She had no children, and she stayed active in television and film well into her 80s. Number 8. Eugene Levy, as the slick car salesman who hands Clark Griswold a station wagon he absolutely did not ask for. Eugene had already built a reputation for sharp, hilarious character work through years with the Second City Ensemble in Toronto before this role popped up. The scene is short, but he makes every second count. He was 36 during filming. His personal life has been remarkably steady. He married Deborah Devine in 1977, and as he approaches 80, they are still together. Their kids, Dan and Sarah Levy, both went into show business and have carved out major careers of their own. Today, Eugene is probably best known to younger audiences through Schitt's Creek, and in 2024, he co-hosted the Emmy Awards with Dan. Plus, his Apple TV Plus travel show, The Reluctant Traveler, keeps drawing great reviews heading into 2026. Right. Number 9, Jane Krakowski as Cousin Vicky, the wide-eyed relative whose few lines in this movie somehow stayed in everyone's heads. She was only 14 years old when Vacation filmed, and her delivering those lines with absolute sincerity is exactly why they landed so well. What followed for Jane was a slow, steady climb through Broadway, television, and film, eventually earning her Emmy and Tony recognition. Now 57, she hosts the game show Name That Tune, and grabbed an Olivier nomination in 2026 for her stage work. She was once engaged to designer Robert Godley, and they share a son. Since then, she has been in a long-term relationship with architect David Rockwell. Number 10, Brian Doyle Murray as the camp comfort clerk, the guy who checks the Griswolds into the kind of campground that makes a family completely rethink road trips altogether. In another version of this movie, that scene is just a quick plot stop to get the family from point A to point B. But Brian Doyle Murray made it worth watching. He was 37 then, a seasoned comedy writer and actor with deep Saturday Night Live roots and the older brother of Bill Murray. He is 80 today and still working. Best known today as the voice of the Flying Dutchman on SpongeBob SquarePants, a role he has been voicing for over 2 decades. He married Christina Stauffer in 2000, and they are still together. He even showed up in the 2024 holiday film, The Christmas Letter. Number 11, James Keach as the motorcycle cop who briefly pulls over the Griswold family chaos on the open road. He was 35 during production and is 78 today. Most folks who recognize his name know him for his personal life, not his acting. He was married to Jane Seymour from 1993 to 2015, a highly public marriage that ended in divorce. They share twin sons together. After stepping back from acting, Keach built an impressive second career behind the camera as a documentary filmmaker, producing hits like Linda Ronstadt, The Sound of My Voice, and directing the Glenn Campbell doc, I'll Be Me. Both earned major critical acclaim and awards buzz. Number 12, Miriam Flynn played Cousin Catherine, the poor woman who had the misfortune of being related to both the Griswolds and Cousin Eddie. Miriam was only about 31 or 32 during filming, and she made it in that messy family dynamic feel totally real despite her limited screen time. Life. After the movie took her deep into voice acting, she built a massive career most fans would never connect to her face, voicing Grandma Longneck across dozens of chapters in the animated series The Land Before Time, and landing guest spots on hit sitcoms like The Neighborhood. Now 74, she was married to director William Porter from 1977 until he passed away in 2019, raising 2 kids together. She kept working steadily after that. Number 13, Frank McRae as Grover, the shady mechanic who sells Clark Griswold on the infamous family truckster. Frank brought a huge presence and raw energy that turned a quick throwaway scene into pure comedy gold. He was about 39 when filming wrapped, and over the next few decades, he carved out a great career with roles in License to Kill and Last Action Hero before quietly stepping away from Hollywood in the early 2000s. His final role came in 2006. He married Lena Durden back in 1964, and they raised one son, Marcellus, together. Frank McRae passed away on April 29, 2021 at 80 years old, leaving behind a legacy of characters that stole every scene they were in. Number 14, Eddie Bracken as Roy Wally, the legendary founder of the theme park that drove the whole Griswold road trip. There was something totally right about a guy with Brackens, history playing that legendary part. He had been working in showbiz since the 1930s, doing radio, Broadway, and Hollywood across a career spanning over 6 decades by the time this movie hit theaters. He was 68 during filming. He married Connie Nickerson in 1939, and they stayed together 63 years, raising 5 children until her death in 2002. He died just months later on November 14, 2002, at 87. But before that, he won over a new generation in Home Alone 2 and Rookie of the Year. Those 2 smash hits reminded younger viewers exactly who he was. He would be 111 in 2026, Number 15. Dana Barron as Audrey Griswold, the teenager struggling to keep her dignity intact during one of cinema's most disastrous family trips. Dana was 17 when they filmed, and she brought a grounded vibe to Audrey that kept things believable, even as the world around her spiraled into total madness. At 60 today, she is one of the very few original cast members who came back to the franchise, playing Audrey again in the 2003 television movie National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation 2. She has been in a long relationship with director Michael Vickerman, and they have a son named Taylor. She is still incredibly close with the fan community built around the movie, constantly showing up at conventions and keeping that Griswold legacy alive in a way that feels deeply personal.